Well, students, good evening to all of you. Today we are going to discuss the another topic of MEd semester third, educational planning. Okay. So what is a basically educational planning? Educational planning involves a systematic and scientific set of decisions for future action. Planning basically it is a necessary to do any of the action. Okay. Without plan, okay, there is a wastage of time. There is a wastage of, money. In fact, lot of things. So when we talk about the education, so there is a need of a educational planning. Okay. When you do not do the educational planning, so result will not come, appropriately. Guys, do you know that who was the director of New Education Policy 2020? Okay, who started this? Kasturi Ranjan. You know, and after last education policies came in 1987. So after actually there is a after 10 years, after 8 years, there is a need of a educational planning, because in a 7 to 8 year, 10 years, there is a lot of changes and happens in the society. But you will not believe, in India after 34 years we are getting a new education policy, right? So educational planning is involves a systematic and scientific set of decision for future actions, right? So first, when Kasturi Ranjan drafted the new education policy, what he saw, that what he planned, okay, first of all he did all the planning, then he did the final draft. He saw that students are going into the school, and they are not so much happy when they go to the school. When they come back from the school, they are so much happy, and when they return to the home. So he started such kind of a thing. When the student will remain in the schools, he should be happy, and he is always in this situation. Happily he should go to the school. So what he did, that he has waived off the examinations of nursery class, first class, second class, right? And according to the new education policy, nursery class students, first class students, and second class students, special teachers are arranged over there. The teacher has to trained so that means various type of activities students will do. Okay, and teachers will help on those activities, and there would not be any test. They would be promoted in the next class. So this policy he has taken from the abroad countries. On there is a lot of a success, because you have seen that many of the countries, they have also got the freedom during the 1940 1950. But within this span, this time period, 65 to 70 years, they have become the developed country. But we are not reached on that stage. Because of that, we are lacking the educational planning, right? So educational planning, the importance of educational planning is very much necessary. Educational planning involves a systematic and scientific set of decision for future actions, right? An educational plan refers to the efforts on planned and premeditated change to be brought about in the system of education for attaining relevant predetermined aims and objectives. Okay, what Philip says, that according to the Philip, educational planning in broad generic sense is the application of rational systematic analysis to the process of educational development, with the aim of making education more effective and efficient in responding to the needs and goals of its students and society, right? It is a simple one. Okay, I will not go in detail. I will discuss the important points. Okay, rest of the material you can read from the notes also, right, guys? Next, we discuss what are the characteristics of a effective educational planning. Whenever you have to do the educational planning, okay, what should be the characteristics, what should be the features? So it should be dynamic, first of all, right? We are living in the society and environment that are not static, and change occurs daily. Educational planning should be dynamic in order to keep pace with changes in the society, right? Because we have to go to the society. In educational planning, we have to merge students, teachers, community members, so that it should be dynamic, it should be comprehensive, huh? You know that educational planning should be integrated, educational planning should be iterative, educational planning should provide for explorations of alternatives, educational planning should be goal oriented, educational planning should be future oriented. These are very simple one. That's why I go, you know, swiftly. Educational planning should be pragmatic. Pragmatic means action based. It should be action based. Planning of education should be continuous process, right? So this is all about the educational planning. Again, what are the importance of educational planning? So you can write, you know, some of the point from characteristics also. It helps in identifying education goals and objectives. Okay, it enhances optimal utilizations of resources and eliminates imbalance and wastage, right? Well planned education enhance literacy and reduce ignoring among citizens. Planning gives directions and guidance for a country educational system, right? What is the need of educational planning? So according to the need, you can write that, right? Planning, you know, when you do the educational planning, so definitely it ensures success of your institutions. What are the wastage, you know, in चीजों को it stops. Okay, effective and efficient planning ensures optimum utilization of funds, thus ensuring expansions of educational facilities. So guys, planning is very much necessary. Okay, when you are running a schools, you are running a college. Okay, so if you are not a planning, so you know, when any of the organization, when they start a school, actually it should be planning up to the 10 years or 12 years. Only then they get success. Now, if you see, you know, many schools, the chain of schools. Okay, when you do the research, so why they have got the success? Because the planning is solid. Okay, I give you the one example of a Lovely Professional University. You know, Lovely Professional University in Punjab is only 10 years, 14 years old. But when you talk about the how many students LPU has enrolled, he has enrolled, I think, you know, 25 or 30,000, more than 30,000 students. Not even a Punjab University, Patala, Chandigarh University, and other universities, they have enrolled such kind of a student. And within a short period of a time, how they have success, that much success, because of the planning, right? Efficient and effective planning ensures optimum utilization of funds, thus ensuring expansions of educational facilities, right? And even LPU is always in, you know, in a good conditions when you talk about the, you know, funds and others. Okay, education is considered as an investment for human resource development. So these all things you have to write under the topic of need for educational planning. Okay, I have also shared this file with you. Now, what are the principles of educational planning? Okay, on which principles it should be based, educational planning? So it should be an integral part of a overall planning for national development. Anna, it is a preeminently long-term in nature. It should be comprehensive in nature. It should focus on the structure, method, and content of education. Right? It should be democratizations of education and educating individuals for their maximum development and full participation. So these all the principles of educational planning. Okay. What are the methods and techniques of educational planning? So these, you know, 3-4 techniques of methods or techniques. Okay. When you will study, you know, deeply, you will come to know that. We can discuss this, you know, in the next week also. What is the method and techniques of educational planning, right? Social demand approach. Otherwise, it is a very simple. If you learn it, if you don't understand, so we can discuss this in the, you know, coming Sunday also. Manpower requirement method. Manpower, you know that there should be a manpower. You know, manpower helps in manpower should be a skilled. Here you have to talk about the skilled manpower. Education output ratio method, aggregate method, comprehensive method, approaches to education. Approaches to education planning or methods of education planning, actually both are the same things. Okay, here these 3 things are also discussing. Okay, you can check, you know, once. Otherwise we can discuss approaches or methods of education planning in the, you know, coming Sunday, right? So rest of the, you know, simple topics we discussed today. What are the significance and importance of educational planning? These are, you know that, to make every program of an educational institution or organization's grand success, right? Okay, well, what is the importance of educational planning? Now, educational planning saves time, effort, money, as planning in every field is a this time saving and effort saving and money saving activity, right? So next we talk about the types of educational planning. Okay, so one is a administrative planning. Administrative planning relates to the distribution of a responsibility and powers for different level of education. Under a administrative educational planning, the administrative responsibilities and powers are phase wise planned in relations to the level of a different educational administrator, right? Means who would be the administrator, who would be the non-teaching staff, who would be the teaching staff. So this is all about the administrative educational planning. Academic planning, so as the name suggests, I think no need to go in detail, Hana, you know that. Here under the academic or curricular planning, we talk about the syllabus, co-curricular activities, what are the academic, what is the schedule, on which time we have to start our classes, what should be the vacations, Hana? These all things that comes under the academic or curricular planning. And co-curricular planning, this is also same. Instructional planning. So under a instructional planning, you have to talk about planning in education is a macro level in nature, and it deals with the planning in classroom situation in relations to a particular topic, right? Instructional planning may you have to plan about the, okay, which topic you think that you should teach first. And sometimes in schools you have seen that first they take the lecture of a science and mathematics, and you know, so humanities group, they take the lecture in last. So this is all about comes under the instructional planning. Institutional planning we have done, right? Planning by scope of a macro or micro, right? Micro up to the schools and others. When we talk about the macro planning goes for nation and state level. This is a planning at the nation and state level, right? So this is the easy one. That's why, you know, I go no one by one. Okay, next one is educational planning in India. Okay, so we have, there is a little bit history of educational planning in India. Hindrance of educational planning in India. Yes, means what are the obstacles we are facing in the educational planning in India, right? Actually, guys, this is related with the 5-year program. You know, we got independence in 1947. After that, you know, one commission was appointed. So what is the role of that commissions? To make the 5-year plan. So this all comes under the 5-year plan, right? And do you know that in the 1947, yeah, after, you know, 10 years, okay, they decided to get the literacy, 100% literacy. But now after the 70 years, we didn't get the 100% literacy. Nowadays, from last, you know, 4 or 5 years or 10 years, you are looking regarding the, you know, distance education's program. Okay, when you talk about the board, you know, earlier there was a Punjab School Education Board, ICSE board, CBSE board, but you know, one board has also come. This is called National Institute of Opening School, Open School Board. Here, what is happening over there? So now the government has understood that, means by authoritarian approach we cannot get the success. Okay, means we have to go according to the level of the student. Whatever student sees that. Now you have seen that in every class, okay, if the student is present or not, teacher should be present in this school. There is a, you know, there is a no punishment, in fact, because new methods, new technologies has come, that you have come to know that, right? And you know, there is a lot of dropouts and others hindrance in educational planning in India. So now the government is working. So under the hindrance for educational planning in India, kya hai hindrance? High dropouts, low level of a learning achievement, low participation of a girl students. In India, you know that, you know, some persons have mentality son should be educated, hana. If the girls, there is no need of educated of the girl because she has to go, she don't have to earn and others, hana. She has to become a housewife. So these all things, becomes as a obstacle for the educational planning in India. This is the reason we didn't get what we thought 50 years before. Okay, so this is hampering the, you know for the, development of the country, these things. Because it is only the education, once every person would be educated, automatically, nation develops. Okay, the standard of a life goes up, right? But there is a lot of a problem: inadequate school infrastructure, teacher absentees, sometimes large scales of a teacher vacancies fill in ho rahi hai na, sometimes, due to, some problems, personal interest, lack of a public involvement. So these are the hindrance of educational planning in India. And what are the steps taken by the government in accelerating educational planning in India? So what are the steps to increase the number of institutions? You have seen that, I don't know the persons, 6-7 years back, higher education, this is called Birla, yes, Birla Ambani report. Birla Ambani report of a 2014 means he talks about the higher education systems. Even you see that before the 2010, there was very less higher education institutions in India. So Birla, this report talks about that there should be higher education institutions in India also. Why do people go to abroad and other to get the degrees and others? So government is taking such kind of steps to increase the number of institutions, teachers, students at elementary level, like incentives, to provide for incentive like textbook, free uniform and scholarship. Government is giving midday meal, to launch Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan, district elementary educational plan, national literacy missions. You are aware that to provide free and compulsory education up to the age of a 14 under Article 45A. What the 45A says that, every citizen has the right to get the education, right, up to the age of a 14. This is called the free and compulsory education for children, to improve industrial training. So these all the steps are taken by the government of India. Educational planning in India, strategies and steps, right? So these are again was strategy. Same, I think it is also a very easy. Okay, you can go, from that planning, educational planning, this. Steps taken for making educational planning. Again, these are the simple guys. Okay, if I think that if there is a important step, okay, so I will stop over there and I'll explain with you. Yes, okay, this is a new topic. So, I think I should explain to you planning commission. Role of a planning commission in educational planning. What is the role of a planning commission? Planning Commission of India is considered as an important institution in Indian governance system. It has major role in country's economic planning for overall growth. Central government had formed a planning commission in India as central body to work comprehensively with the consecutive term of 5 years as country's 5-year plan for economic and social substance cum governance. Okay, so planning commissions I have just discussed. What is a planning commission? Planning commission is appointed by the government of India. The purpose of a planning commission is all about the country's economic planning for the overall growth, right? So it is discussing about the all the planning commission. Up here, the major functions of a planning commission, right? What are the major functions of a planning commission assigned as per the Government of India rules 1961 as follows, right? It makes assessment of a material, capital, human resource, formulate plan. So these all the educational planning, formulating the planning, opening the institutions and others. These all are things that come under the planning commission. Okay, so these are all the point. Functions of a educational Indian planning commissions. Okay, goes same here. These are the functions of a planning education commission. We have just discussed about the. Okay, what happened in 2014? When Modi government came, he announced his objective to dissolve the planning commission. So this government actually dissolved the planning commission and has been replaced by a new institution named Niti Aayog. So guys, you have to remember, now it is called the Niti Aayog. It's not a planning commission. It is called the Niti Aayog, Government of Indian Policy Think Tank. Okay. So the assured aim of a Niti Aayog formation is to promote involvement and participation in the economic policy making process by the state government of India. It has adopted new Niti Aayog. This is important. Okay, with the changes, it has adopted a bottom-up approach in planning, which is a noteworthy contrast to the planning commission tradition of top-down decision making. Array, great. One of the important directive of a Niti Aayog is to bring cooperative, competitive federalism and to improve central state relations. Guys, actually what happened, when we, set our educational plan in after the India got freedom, during 1955 or 60, but after a 5 year, we saw that we are not, completing this aim again. Okay, this is our educational planning and we have to got this aim up to the 5 year. But what is happening up to the 2014, actually 10 or 11th 5 years plan have already gone. Okay, but we didn't get our whatever mark we set during 1955 and 60. So what happened, Modi government came in 2014. He dissolved the planning commission and named the Niti Aayog and used the bottom up approach. This is the most important, you have to remember. It has adopted the bottom up approach and discarded the top down decision making. अब इसका meaning क्या हुआ? What is the meaning of that? Earlier, these all decisions are taken by the government. Now, according to the bottom up approach, says that in educational planning, there is an involvement of the central government, state government, panchayat raj system, even the community members. Okay, involve the community members in the educational planning. Means you can say that after 60 or 65 years, Indian government have come to know that, okay, only from that purpose, from that way we can get, we can develop our nation. Okay, we can get this this planning, whatever we have set the marks during the 55 or 60. So next evaluations of, next topic is, this is the important, evaluations of planning from centralizations to decentralizations. Yes, this is called. Okay, in a simple term, when there is a top-down decision making approach, this is called centralization. When it goes from bottom-up approach, it is called decentralization. Right? It is in your syllabus also. Evaluations of planning from centralizations to decentralizations. Okay, so one example you can give here, okay, about the Niti Aayog and others. Okay, decentralizations hai, you have come to know way to decentralizations planning and Niti Aayog. I think no need to discuss. You have come to know that. Okay, what is a decentralizations planning and Niti Aayog? Hana? This one, right? Ye bas you have to mention. This is a 73rd amendments and 74th amendments in the constitutions. Okay, decentralizations. Okay, because we cannot, get the benefit from the centralizations approach. Merits of a decentralized planning. You can write that a decentralizations approach means bottom up. Okay, we have to include every member, right? Even new education policy, when it was made now, so it was the draft of the new education policy, right, was distributed in, in India. It was open on the website. Whosoever is persons, they can give their views. Okay, so after the 6 months, 8 months, they get the reviews from different type of a teachers, different type of a person. Okay, even Kasturi Ranjan ji, they also included the, views of, which they have got during the 6 month or 8 month, right? So this is all about the decentralizations planning. Okay, democratic decentralizations. So when the decentralization process started, so you can say that panchayat, जो पंचायत होती है, when you talk about the villages and other, this is called the panchayati raj institutions. So under the panchayati raj institutions, sarpanch, gram sabha, vidhan, this is called three tiers mein gram panchayat, okay, and sarpanch, they have given the power. Okay, now you have to appoint the person, and okay, we discuss here that meaning of a panchayat raj. What is the meaning of a panchayat raj? The concept democratic decentralization was not easily understood by the people. Therefore, as decided by then Prime Minister, the three-tier administration was introduced. Ab ye three-tier you have to remember in the name of a panchayati raj. Okay, matlab you can see that any village in the India, any of the village in the India, there is a three-tier system. This is called the panchayati raj. What is the three-tier system? So under the three-tier system of panchayati raj, there is a, okay, this one, okay, three-tier system of a panchayati raj. ग्राम पंचायत, मंडी परिषद और ब्लॉक समिति और पंचायत समिति और जिला परिषद. This is the panchayati raj system. Okay, just see that. Right? Okay, this is a three-tier system of a panchayati raj. Gram panchayat, up to the village level, there is a gram panchayat. After the village, there is a block level. Block is a bigger than village. In a block level, there is a panchayat samiti. Head was the panchayat samiti. And on the district level, there is a jila parishad. Okay. So now we do the functions of gram panchayat. Kya hai? What are the functions of gram panchayat? What are the functions of panchayat samiti? And what are the functions of jila parishad under the panchayati raj institutions because of the decentralizations? Okay. Functions of a gram panchayat village. All the panchayati raj institutions perform such functions as are specified in state laws relating to the panchayati raj. Kya kya hai? Functions. Okay, we can do from here na. Functions of panchayati raj on the block level. Panchayat samiti are the hub of the development activities. They are headed by block development officer, BDO. Some functions are interested to like them: agriculture, land improvement, watershed development, social farm, forestry, technical and vocational education, etc. The second type of a functions. Okay. So in order to take the educations up to the village level, because a lot of problems now we are facing that. So due to the decentralization system, panchayati raj system, there is a evaluation of a panchayati raj system, and under the panchayati raj system, panchayat samiti, jila parishad and gram sabha, they are given the powers. You have seen that na, whenever you have to see the any of the teacher and report, they are all appointed by the sarpanch of the village. Okay, so these are the functions of these things. Okay, under the panchayati raj system, PRI कहते हैं इसको, panchayati raj system. So this is the important one. Panchayati raj system, panchayats have been the backbone of the Indian village since the beginning of recorded history. Gandhiji, the father of the nation, in 1946 had aptly remarked that the Indian independence must begin at bottom and every village should to be republic or panchayat having powers. Gandhiji dream has been translated into reality with the introductions of the three-tier panchayati raj system to ensure people participation in rural reconstruction. Right, guys? Even इसी चीज को देखते हुए, keeping in view that that in a first semester there is a experiential learning subject. It was introduced, okay, on that time. Earlier it was not, right? So what is the concept of a panchayati raj system? Okay, you have already done. Structure of a panchayats. Okay, you can say that three-tier system you have to remember. Okay, structure. What is panchayati raj? There are three-tier system. One is jila panchayat, one is block panchayat, one is gram panchayat. Right? and Gram Sabha. In a large portion of the states, every voting public, this Gram Panchayat is known as the Gram Sabha. वो Gram Panchayat को ही Gram Sabha बोलते हैं, and every one of the voters of the same body, electoral individual from that body, right? Okay, तो ये जो when talking about the how the Panchayati Raj system evolved, how this came into existence due to the 4 committees: Balwant Rai Mehta Committee, Ashok Mehta Committee, GVK Rao Committee, Elmi Singhvi Committee. And you know, sometimes it was called that the father of Panchayati Raj system was the Raj Mehta. Or sometimes questions comes, define the 3-tier system of Mehta's committee. Okay, so simple 2 or 3 lines you can read that. Okay, what are the recommendations of Balwant Rai Committee? What are the recommendations of Ashok Mehta Committee? What are the recommendations of a GVK Rao Committee and Panchayat Raj? Because all are in the favor of Panchayat Raj system, na, in order to, you know, take the educations up to the, even not the educations, even the land work, even the water work, these all are, you know, given powers to the Panchayati Raj system in the panchayat, in the villages, right? Singhvi report. And it was a 73rd constitutional amendment. Okay, you should know that. Okay, so this is all about their functions of this. Then Mehta's 3-tier system. Okay, so Mehta's 3-tier system, this is the same. Now you have come to know that now. When it comes Mehta 3-tier system, you have come to know that because of the Balwant Rai Mehta Committee, the recommendations of a Balwant Rai Mehta Committee, Panchayati Raj system came into existence. Okay, so here you have to define all the 3 systems: Jila Panchayat, Gram Sabha, or Jila Parishad. Okay, अब what is the role of a Panchayati Raj institutions in development of a education या primary education? Okay, so इनका क्या क्या role है? So these are the role. Like the schools, suppose, you know, different organizations are running a school, SGPC is running a school, DAV is running school, Dev Samaj is running a school, Christian communities are running a school. Similarly, in a villages, schools are run by the these sarpanch. Okay, government gives the funds, states gives the funds to that, and they take all the account from these persons. Okay, so really the Panchayat Raj institutions are important and playing a vital role in eradications of illiteracy and facilitating the primary education at large extent. To ensure educations for all, Gram Panchayat can work to facilitate, promote and strengthen. Okay, these are all the point of a Panchayati Raj system. So guys, ye aapka under educational planning we have finished, Panchayati Raj institutions we have finished, right? Thank you so much.